E-commerce for CPG brands is really challenging, especially right now. It seems that ad costs are going higher, consumers have more options, and it's really taking a lot to get them to take out their credit card and actually make a purchase. But there's a lot that you can do to increase your odds of success on social media and on e-commerce to actually move things along. So what I want to talk today is not just how do you get people to your site using ads, but how do you actually design high converting landing pages with effective offers to get people to buy. So for this conversation, I've invited on Andrew, who's one of the co-founders of AdCrunch. They're experts in paid media, digital marketing, and have been driving traffic and sales for tons of brands. And recently have been doing a ton of work in the CPG space. So it's super relevant. Before we actually just hit record, I was working on a landing page for Joyful Co. And so this couldn't be more timely. Andrew, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm excited to talk about this. The main thing we see CPG brands struggling with is not always content, not always ads, but just building that solid foundation, having that landing page that makes people want to buy now, not later, right? Not when they take their dogs out, not when they drop their kids off at school, but getting that direct feedback.
Oh, that's so true. I think distraction is so prevalent right now, right? Like most times people are not looking to buy something. They're coming across you as they're scrolling, looking at a ton of other things. And so how do you stop gaining their attention and then keep it long enough to make them interested in buying? And I think, we've talked before, but it's really about understanding, how do you grab their attention, what they're looking for, and what's going to push them over the edge. And so I know you've developed this 3-step process as you're thinking about like how to drive e-commerce sales. And so I'd love for you to just give like a quick overview of like what that is.
Yeah, so there are three things that we found really drive e-com sales when it comes to direct response. One is the offer. So that's what I said. Why should they buy now? Not later, not when their, kids get dropped off at school, not when they take their dog out, but now. Two is the landing page. So, and there's actually 3 ways to break down the landing page. When people hit the page, they're looking at the price, right? Is it in their price range? They want to know if it's for them, right? If it's for the problem that they're trying to solve. And then they also want to know if it will work for them, right? If it actually will solve their problem, right? That's kind of the guarantee part. Like, we guarantee this will solve your problem. So you want to answer those 3 questions extremely quickly in a very effective manner. I see a lot of people have these like long product descriptions and this and that. It's just like, it's headline, subheadline, bullet points, like tell them exactly what it is, who it's for, and how it solves their problem.
I love that. So that's kind of the offer, the landing page. And then I think the first step chronologically of like getting that is like running ads actually and testing messaging to actually get them to the site, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's the third piece of scaling. You have to have really, really high performing ads, really high performing copy, because copy is just a shadow of negotiating, right, with your client, right? You're not doing the negotiating over the phone anymore. You're doing it with your website and your ads. And so the copy needs to be on point. Good copy is going to outperform a pretty website 99% of the time. The only reason I say 99% is because a beautiful website may outperform copy occasionally, but it is 90 for most of us, the copy, making sure that the user knows they're on the right landing page, that it's for them, that it's going to fix their problem, and that the pricing is, in their range is going to solve most of your problems. So,
Andrew, let me tell you, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars, which is probably low in the e-commerce thing. I know the brands have spent millions of dollars kind of running ads. And it's been a challenge because most times I found that those ads were not effective at driving sales to the level that I wanted to. And part of it I realized was having poorly designed landing pages, right, with like poor conversion and not having all those elements that you mentioned. And so as you're thinking about creating compelling offers and telling that story on the landing page, like what are some of the things that most brands are missing that they need to have?
yeah, for sure. And then a quick question for you. Am I able to share my screen? Will people be able to see that?
Yeah, so you can share your screen so we can walk through things and we can post the video for it.
Okay, sweet. Let me share my screen real quick because a visual here is going to be really, really helpful. One, we're on mobile right now. So we always look at things on mobile because that's how most people are viewing. I see a lot of websites where there's a ton of cognitive load when they hit the page. So that means like the colors are crazy, there's no focus. It needs to be a very simple layout because if you have things everywhere, if you have benefits everywhere, your consumer doesn't know what to focus on, and how are they going to figure out if it's for them, right? All of those things increase cognitive load. So
And for those listening on the podcast on audio only, right now you're showing the mobile screen share of a brand Pluck, right? And it is a superfood kind of grass-fed seasoning blend, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're at the intersection of health and seasoning. So they have basically, the easiest way to put it, vitamins in their seasoning from organs. Like they blend up and dry organ meats into seasonings, and so it's like a vitamin and a seasoning. Just really cool.
Which on its surface, like if you just said, hey, here's some ground up organ meat, like that's probably not really compelling. So what did you and the team kind of test to help make this an effective landing page?
Yeah, so this landing page layout has over $10 million of spend behind it. We've spent a lot of time and money, and that's across a lot of different brands, right? A lot of time and money getting to this point. So if you want a shortcut to like what's the best landing page to start out with, this is going to be it. So I'll break down the landing page and then also provide a document, like a slideshow with the breakdown of the landing page as well. So anybody can download it, look at it after the call. But yeah, I'll break it down audibly, and then also for those who are watching this, you'll be able to see the visual too, which I would recommend. If you're not watching this, go watch it because the visual is going to help a lot more. So the first thing we have our top performing hook from Meta up at the top. The idea here is the person needs to get hooked into the page. So if they're not like hooked immediately, and that's going to be from your words and your photos, right? If they're not hooked immediately, they're going to bounce. Most people never even get to your add to cart button if it's lower on the page. So we have a top performing hook from Meta.
And for them, it's nature's superfood, now a seasoning.
Yeah, that was our top performing headline in Meta. And so we put this at the top of the page. And the best way to get this hook, which I'll go over this fairly quickly, and this is going to be highly tactical. So if you need to slow it down or come back to this part, like do that. It's worth listening to understand, because once you understand, you'll actually be able to scale your brand with convincing copy and arguments that will make your consumer feel like your brand is for them. So the way we determine what this first hook is, we will actually, and I'm showing the hook sheet that we use, you guys can get this as well. We actually run 50 hooks in a Meta ad campaign for click-through rate. And the reason we do that is because it's much less expensive. So traditionally, if you're going to run 50 hooks in a conversion campaign, it costs $5,000. $100 a hook times 50 hooks is $5,000. And a click-through rate campaign, it only costs us about $300. And how this looks is when you actually run the campaign, I give you a visual too, you're going to see a lot of different click-through rates. So if you're watching this, you can see these are all the same ad. All we've done is change the hook, and we get anywhere click-through rates from 10% down to 2%.
So to break this down quickly, you're creating dozens of ads, all with the same creative with different messaging. So you can see which message is resonating most with all other variables the same.
Exactly. That is exactly right. And the idea here is like, if somebody is not even going to click on your ad, well, and your messaging, then how are they going to purchase? They're not even going to make it to the site. So that's why we do this first. And then we push these to a conversion campaign. And you can see all we've done is change the hooks here. And we just pushed the top 10. So that our top 10 hooks. And we're getting anywhere from a 4.6x return down to a 2.2x return. So this is how powerful just a copy is. It could double your returns, just a copy. And so this is a very important point. Like, you have to find how to speak to your customers, because like that's what's going to sell the product. Right.
And that's actually really key, because I think the number one mistake most brands make is they create language from the brand perspective, right? Like, how do we want to talk about the product? How do we want to sell the product? Instead of thinking about it from the customer standpoint, which is what's going to grab their attention, what are they looking for, and how does our product fill a need in their lives? Not how does like the customer help our brand, but how does our brand help the customer?
Exactly. Yeah. And this is actually much easier to do than what you're thinking. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to write 50 hooks. How do I come up with this? Here's the cheat code. Go to TikTok, and let's just say you're selling caviar. So let's just search caviar, right, on TikTok. Well, you have all these people who have already created this like content. And so here, like, I think this is a great hook, an unpretentious guide to buying caviar, right? That's it. That's an easy hook, right? We can put that in the hook sheet. I think viral caviar chicken nuggets. If you have a unique way that you're using your product, just put the word viral in front of it. That's a hook. And we can even Costco caviar. I love that. I love that hook.
So direct.
Yeah, exactly. And so we can also come here and look in the comments. This is really impactful too. I'll get the caviar and then go to McDonald's. Like you could even say something about that in a hook. Like, like POV, you buy $300 caviar and put it on chicken nuggets, right? That's a hook. That's like that. We always want to start at like the climax with the hook. So the most interesting, like just really think about like you are mining attention, right? And so think about movies. A good movie that really hooks you in kind of starts at the climax. Like you could think about like Fight Club, the loop isn't closed. You're trying to figure out what's going on, right? The entire movie. You're really trying to understand what's going on and why this person is putting $300 caviar on, $5 chicken nuggets, right? And so this is a really great way to find the hooks. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be a genius. You just can look on TikTok and see what people are already saying about your product and look at what your competitors are saying about your product that has a lot of engagement as well. Because your competitors probably have some really good hooks.
And I think one thing I learned is right, test a lot. It's not about creating the perfect like 3 hooks and only testing those. Like you want to test dozens, if not 100 of them, because most of them, right? Like out of the hooks that you test, if you test 100, how many of them are going to be good?
Exactly. Yeah. And we're like, it's the 80-20 rule here. If you test 100 hooks, you'll probably only have 10 to 20 convert. Like that's just the name of the game. You have to do it to find that messaging. And it's going to give you a really good idea of what your consumers actually want from you, not what you think your consumers want.
I love it. Okay, so then how do you translate this onto the landing page? Let's say you get some messaging ideas, you see what's performing. What do you do next?
Yeah. So we'll take, after we run that conversion campaign, we'll take like the top 3 or 4. And here's the great thing about, well, we're about to get into landing page, but if you notice, moms are really buying your product. That's its own file. That's its own landing page. That's its own set of hooks. That's 50 hooks for moms, right? If you notice that like people who want to lose weight are buying your product, right? That's its own landing page, right? Or again, we need to make sure the person knows it's for them, that it will solve their problem, and they need to know the price, right? Those are the 3 things we have in mind when we're creating landing pages. And so we're always wanting to solve those. So if you're sending a mom to a landing page that has something about how it'll help them lose weight, you have a mismatch there, right? So you want to make sure that you're 1-to-1.
I love that. I mean, it just reminds me of how there's a huge movement talking about like the internet will allow you to do personalization. And I think the gold standard would be sending you to a page that says, Andrew, you would like this product based on everything you know. But right, like we can't quite do like individual targeting, but what's the next best thing? Like what are those common attributes that are leading people to buy? What are those audiences and customer segments and what are they looking for, both like in persona and the messaging, which I think you're right. And then creating a specific like multiple different landing pages for those groups.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is our best general hook. So we have this. We'll want to put our best general hooks on our organic page. And then we'll want to create many of these, I would call them ancillary or supporting funnels for specific audiences. So Nature's Superfood Now seasoning can easily turn into, you don't have to do that much work once the landing page is built. Seasoning, like vitamin seasoning for moms with picky eaters, right? Or for kids who aren't getting enough nutrition, right? Those are their own funnels and their own hooks that are going to go with their own ads for a specific audience. And so I know a lot of people talk about ICPs and how to talk to them. This is the exact specific way that you can figure out how to talk to them and then make those pages. And it's not a crazy amount of work. It's just doing the work.
Perfect. So break down what's on the rest of the page. We talked about the headline, the subheadline.
Yeah, the headline, subheadline. Then we always have reviews right here. This is really important. We just want to have social proof right out of the gate. So it's going to be headline, subheadline. Usually the subheadline has some context about the product. So this one, we found people really cared that the cows were from New Zealand. So we have that here. So for y'all who are listening, it says organ meat from New Zealand, grass-fed cows blended with organic herbs and spices. This is our general like subheadline, right? So for moms, it could be like, for moms with picky eaters who can't get enough nutrition in their kids' diet, right? That's the subheadline there. And then we go right into reviews.
And say a five-star rating. It says 4.9 out of 5. See 388 reviews with a link to kind of read those reviews, and then a nice clear image of the front of the pack.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't like comment to, and this is actually where I think y'all would also get a lot of value. Like the headline doesn't need to be your product name. They're going to probably see your product name in the hero photo, right? It's right there. they're going to see like it says the seasoning. It's like the original, right? It says the seasoning name in the hero photo, and then they'll be able to pick their flavors down here. So well, we need to show them exactly what the product is, but we don't need to say it because we're just making sure that they know this product is for them initially. So, and then yeah, below the product photo and we have the price, and then we always anchor. I guarantee 95% of y'all who are listening are pricing too low. You're probably priced at market value. But what we're trying to do here is not get them to compare you to everybody else, but to start comparing your bundles and your your built bundles to single products, right? So at first, this brand started out with an $18 AOV. Now their AOV is at $70. It's a completely different business because people are buying 2 or they're buying 4 at a time. So we went from selling 1 at 18 to selling 1 at 39, selling 2 for 74 and 4 for $88. And so they save 43% when they buy 4, but we're technically making more money by them buying 4 now than we were before. But it's all about anchoring that initial like one product at a higher price so they can start to compare like your pricing on your page, not you and your competitors.
Yeah, right. Because in looking at that, it's saying basically you can get 4 flavors for almost the price of 2. And then people are like, oh, well, that's a good deal. Versus saying, okay, let me compare this to a random seasoning blend on Amazon or something else, or even your own product pricing on or other channels. You're making that reference point self-contained in the landing page.
And if your offering is linear and it makes sense, we all like things that make sense. But if your offer makes sense, it's not a good offer. And that sounds crazy, but like people don't want a good product at a good price. They want to feel like they got a good product at a good price. So the feeling is what we're changing, because I look at this and I say, oh, I can get 2 more for $14. That's $7 each. Like I'm going to do that. Like I'd rather get more than less if I'm only paying $7 more per product. So
Yeah,
really we're actually selling them at $23 each. Yeah, $22 each when we were initially selling them at 18.
I love that. And then you also have, I think, that offer, right, where there's a yellow box right above the price and it says get 4 shakers for $89 and has a countdown.
Yes. Okay. And then so the countdown, a lot of people don't like the countdown. We find that this creates anxiety. So it's good for direct response, less good for organic. So I just want to caveat this here is like the timer is not going to make or break the offer. It helps when you're running ads to the offer. But the real magic is in the build your own bundle. It's buy more, save more, and you let the user pick what they want. So if you think about it, like if you come up with a bundle for the person, let's say only 50% of your users want that bundle, right? Well, if we let them build their own and they can buy more and save more, then that's relevant to everybody. Right. So you don't have to worry about creating these perfect bundles. I know the initial strategy was like, make one with your best sellers. And it's like, that's great, but isn't it better if they can actually pick their own like bundle? So
I love that. And so then right below that, you pick your bundle, you pick your products. And I like this, right? Because the drop down for these, there's 3 or 4 options to choose from. So it's not decision fatigue. And then you add to cart directly from there, right?
exactly. Yeah, you add to cart from here. And another thing is you might say, this doesn't work for my brand. My brand doesn't do that. Well, like you can still upsell in this area. So like we have a client that sells e-bikes, right? And the cheapest one's like $800. Well, on the cheapest e-bike page, we're actually putting our more expensive bikes on there. Like need longer battery, right? Need longer range, buy this bike. Need this, buy this bike, right? And so we're like, are you buying for a kid, right? Then buy this bike. Same thing with clothing. Build your own outfit, right? So pick a hat, pick a shirt, pick pants, and save. This is going to, a lot of times, the minimum usually we see is a 1.5x increase in AOV up to like a 2 or a 3x, right? And in Plex case, this was a 3.5x, which was huge.
I love that. When you're selling more expensive items, are you like discounting those more expensive items or are you just highlighting the benefits?
Yeah, so the more expensive ones, like if it's their most expensive item, we may just have that page by itself, right? There may not be a bundle on that, especially when you get in the $1,000 range. But yeah, let's just say you sell something at $1,500, $1,000, and $700. Well, on the 700 page, show them that they can get more of a bike for less money or double your range for $200 more, right? Things like that are really powerful on these higher AOV products. And then even same thing with clothing, like build your own pack of shirts, right? Build your own pack of sweats, right? Or build your own outfit. Those are use cases for like, it's easy if you're selling a couple of products and it's buy more, save more. But once you get into like, oh, my products aren't super related, or, you know, they're this or that, and they're not 100% related, we see like at least adding these, they're not even bundles at that point. They're more like upsells, but just adding, like letting people, like let people know that they can spend more money with you and get more. Like that's kind of the idea here.
I love it. All right, what's the next section?
Yeah. So then we go straight to add to cart. So the reason we do this first, a little bit of information and straight to add to cart, is you have two people who are hitting your sites. You have your diggers and your skimmers. Your skimmers are more ready to buy, right? But we also want to create a site that appeals to our diggers. And so we'll have hidden content on here. These are just hyperlinks. So like we know a lot of people want to know the flavors and ingredients, right? So we have this pop-up come up, right? If you have a huge description, just shorten it and have it as a see more, or have it come up as a pop-up, like want to learn more pop-up, right? That's really helpful. If you have, I've seen, let me see, like, but basically like I just did an audit for a brand that, yeah, was selling these e-bikes. And they had like 18 trust badges right here, and I couldn't tell what to focus on. So I was like, put this into a hyperlink and just say like, want to see what comes with the bike? See what comes with the bike? Question mark, right? And then your diggers can click on that and they can see like, hey, okay, it comes with like this style of battery. It's made with this kind of aluminum. It's made to go this far, right? All that information is great, but it should be consolidated into either like a pop-up that the user can click on to learn more, or it could be truncated or shortened into a description that you can say, hey, want to learn more, read more, right? That way it's not taking up all, because you like your first like 5 seconds of scrolling or 3 seconds of scrolling is precious real estate. Most people are bouncing by the time they hit the add to cart buttons. You need to explain what you do very quickly and grab their attention very quickly.
Awesome. What's next on the page below the add to cart?
Yeah. And then, so now we have some benefits. So this is kind of a new product in a new space. So people need to learn more about it before making that buying decision. And this comes into what we were talking earlier, Jordan, on the Caviar brand. We have more social proof because this is things that people use at parties, right? So it depends on the brand, but if you're like, oh, I'm Caviar, or I'm clothing, right? Clothing, you may want to have social proof and lifestyle, not more about the product and its attributes, right? If it's a technical product, we're looking to provide more information because people are probably wanting to understand what the product is and what it does more. And then with things like clothing or Caviar, for instance, we're looking to add more social proof so people can see it in action, they can see what they can do with it, etc. So
Are you finding too that like with Zero Caviar, are people watching those and the social proof, there's videos almost like TikTok style videos of people using the product? Are people like watching individual videos, or you think just like having that proof showing helps?
yeah, having the proof showing helps. I don't think we have the data, or we don't have the data on like if they're watching individual videos, but I think seeing it used in a situation, or I know that seeing it used in a situation that that person is likely to experience or has experienced in the past is very valuable. Because now like people, it's very hard for them to be creative. So you need to it's show, don't tell, right? Show them how they can use the product, show them recipes, right? And I think also with the electric bike, something that I recommended was a quiz, because when I got on their website, there were all these bikes. There were like 10 different bikes. And I was like, I have no idea. One, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm looking at. And I need to figure out what I'm using it for. So my quiz for them was like, first, who is this for? Is it for you or a child? Right? Because we need to know that right away. Then how are you using the bike? Are you using it to get around town? Are you using it to ride in your neighborhood? Are you using it to off-road? Because those are different buyers. And so they have different pain points to get them to buy it. And then so that would be my second question. And then my third question would be like, how long do you need to go for, right? Like how big of a battery do you need? What kind, like all these other ancillary things. And then you can recommend a product, and that's going to build trust. Because the more time people spend on your site, the more familiar you are, the more they trust you, right? So that's really important. So getting them to take a quiz at the front of the funnel can really help you build trust with them and make them feel much more familiar with your brand and they would have otherwise and make them feel like your products are more for them.
Awesome. So like in the Pluck landing page example, is it saying organ meat from grass-fed cows plus organic herbs and spices. So that's reiterating that sub headline, and then has check boxes for some of the key attributes like 100% grass-fed, kid-friendly, keto, paleo, gluten-free, no sugar, no fillers, third-party tested.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we go into an FAQ. This is also really important. Like, just if you have people asking, like your customer support agents, like the same thing 80 times a day, which happens a lot, put it in an FAQ, just basically like benefits and then straight to FAQ, right? So they can learn more about the product and answer questions that, like, does it taste like organs? This was a big one for him. Like, Pluck gives you nutrients from organ meats without the strong organ meat taste. And it does. It's like, it tastes delicious. It tastes like a regular seasoning. And do kids like it? This is a question we get a lot. It's absolutely. And it's just because it doesn't taste like organs. So, and then, yeah, we can keep going down. So this is just some social proof for them, or ways that people have used it. This is a little bit about the owner. And then this is really important. This is what we call versus content. Let them compare on your site. So compare your item to your other items. If you have better items, right? Why is me buying this $100 seasoning better than a $50 seasoning? You could, it's got twice the nutrients. It's got this. It's processed differently. We use grass-fed grass-fed cows in the nicer one, right? So let them know why your more expensive product is better than your less expensive product. And then also an iteration of this is you versus your competitors, right? So that's going to really help them make a buying decision. So here we have his product versus just regular seasonings, because that's what most people are using. They're not using seasonings with vitamins in it, right? And so we're just talking about how little salt this has and how much other vitamins you actually get from the seasoning. And then the rest of the page is pretty straightforward. This you can kind of add social proof with, or just more benefits, and then go to reviews. And then same thing here, like for them, we have some scrolling benefits. And then we talk about how it's like used by Michelin star restaurants. A lot of this.
And this is back on the caviar page now, is talking about ordering the caviar for Michelin star chefs.
Yeah. A lot of people who are buying caviar care about the prestige of it. They want to know that other people are using it. They want to know that it's going to make them popular, right? And so this is where, like, for a brand like this, the social proof is really important. So you could just layer on that social proof, and then it kind of goes to, it goes to reviews, right? And so same thing here. And then I have another iteration. So this one, they've actually blocked it from going on mobile, but I really like the way that they have these drop down. We didn't make this page. This is just another brand.
So there's a different, like, it's the remineralizing gum company now.
Yeah, it's gum for people who drink coffee to, like, get the stains off of your teeth, basically. Yeah, it's supposed to strengthen teeth enamel, brighten and whiten teeth, and of course give you fresh breath. But something I like that they did is you get like all these bonuses here, and we're going to start rolling this out as well.
So their offers then are buy one, get one free, buy two, get two free, buy three, get three free, buy four, get four free. And so it's an escalating, it's still like saving 50%, right? Basically, but you're getting more free and you're buying a higher volume at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And on their buy four, get four free, you also get 5 free gifts. You get warranty, like they guarantee that it's going to work, gum packs, an ebook, a mystery gift, and free shipping. So they're actually just adding this to the offer when you buy the big offer down here. So you could add it in the space. If you're looking at this next to the build your own bundle, you could say like plus free shipping, plus free ebook on how to get your kids eating, things that are actually good for them, plus free mystery gift, and right. So you can add these things onto the page here.
I love it. So this is all like super great from like both the strategy and the tactical standpoint. So if you're just listening to this, all really great content, check out the video as well so that you can see a lot of these landing pages in action, sharing with your team. We're also going to include the hook sheet download in the show notes. So make sure you grab that so you can start testing out messaging for your brand. Andrew, any last thoughts just in terms of like what testing your landing pages can do for your brand and why this is so important?
Yeah. So there's the Pareto distribution, which is basically the 80-20 rule, applies to your brand. So if your AOV increases by 100%, which is a lot, you're going to be able to scale 5 times as much. That's a completely different business. Imagine the people you can hire, the ads you you can now, like, you're now going to be more favored in auctions on Meta and Google because they're looking at time on site, conversion rate, and then they're making a match based on that. And so if you can increase your AOV or LTV by 50 to 100%, that's a 5x for your business, right? Huck went from its largest month being $30,000 to literally over Black Friday making over 200K, right? It was not even close to what their business looked like last year. And so these are, by having something like this, these are huge gains. They're not linear, they're exponential because you're able to hire more people, spend more on ads, and then just generally have a better margin for your business. Because most e-com businesses, you're operating off the 10, 20, maybe if you're lucky, a 30% margin. And so imagine what your business could be if it was operating off of a 50% margin, right?
And with Pluck, they were even able to raise their product price, increasing their margin and raise their AOV and give a better perceived value to customers. And so, right, like there's winning across the board here. And I think, if you're listing, you're like, I try ads, like they're not working for me. It's usually not the ads, it's the landing pages to start and the offer. And so start there, test and iterate. And then slowly, once you find what are the winners, start driving traffic to that page, see if it scales and continue to test, right? Because even if you find something that's working better, there's probably still more gains to be had.
Exactly. Yeah. And then if you don't know where to start with offers, buy more, save more. This is proven, especially if you only have a couple of products. This was going to work, or build your own bundle, basically. And then I have an entire offer worksheet that I can put to that y'all can download. This is everything we've seen work. We don't recommend a % off. We'd recommend, mystery gifts are great. Giving them a gift card with their purchase is great. That incentivizes them to come back to your site and purchase again. So you could bundle in a $20 e-gift card, which is a coupon code. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Delivered via email to come back for their next purchase. I like this one for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, first to site. You could advertise like the first, let's just say 10 people to your site get 50% off, the next 10 get 30, and everybody else gets 20. That's just going to drive tons of traffic on very high traffic days. And then
It's taken like the mentality where like, stores used to do like the first person gets a free TV and then like there's only one and there's thousands of people lined up.
exactly. These strategies are already out there. It's just like consolidating them back into e-commerce. Best Buy did it with their doorbusters, right? Like do a doorbuster on Black Friday, and then subscribe and save. For any of y'all that have subscription-based businesses, this is really powerful. Give them a larger discount as time goes on because they'll be locked in at a lower rate and then they have more loss when they leave. So like if you start out, like maybe the first month to try it is like $7, and then the second month is like 10% off. These are arbitrary numbers, so make them fit in your business. But third month is 20% off. Fourth month is 35% off, right? That works with your margins. Do that because those people who have used you more than 4 months now, they're locked in at that price. If they leave, they can't come back at it. And they've already probably made your product into a habit of theirs, so they're likely going to stay longer once they get to 4 months. So
I love that. Well, this is awesome, Andrew. This is so helpful. And so there's so many actionable tips here. There'll be the link to the video as well as you're watching this. You can watch that. And we'll include links to the offer worksheet and the hook worksheet. Andrew, thanks so much for being on. If I highly recommend try these out yourself, right? Like a lot of these things you can start testing on your own. If you're finding that they're not working or you're looking for another perspective or you don't have the time, Andrew and the AdCrunch team are here to help. They've been working with me at Joyful Co. to refine our messaging hooks, and we're starting to test out new landing pages and offers. And so all stuff that I am actively implementing for Joyful Co. as well. So definitely reach out, get in touch, and this can completely transform your e-commerce brand. So Andrew, thanks so much for being on.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, feel free to reach out at any time and talk to somebody else soon.